with us, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
Do we need lights?
Here, as far as the presentation goes.
Do I know about the change of plans?
No. Yeah, so we were planning on controlling everything up here.
Okay.
We had a little technical difficulty, so we're going to rely on our good Pastor Michael back there, and he's going to press the button when we point at him or something, throw something at him. I got to hold this
right
closer
there.
to me
How's
so
that?
you can hear me. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. So yeah, so just a slight change, nothing too drastic, but we will persevere. So we're just at the first screen there, Michael. Heartbeat Ministries. So first of all, I want to say thank you for everybody that supported us and that were part of our time with Heartbeat Ministries. As you can see, we're decked out in our fancy jackets that we had as a team, and we traveled with those as we went through the airport so that we could keep track of everybody as we went. And so, there's one over there. Get him.
Yeah.
Time to board.
John was were you the sweeper?
The sweeper, yeah.
Yeah, he had to pull up the rear because, you know, all us ladies, it's like, where's the washroom? And so if you saw a red jacket, you invariably knew,
Yeah.
well, that's one of the team.
A couple of guys said, look, watch us. Yeah, we'll go look at those. Yeah. So anyway, we had quite a journey over. You may or may not have heard that we had some trouble with our flights on the way over, partly because of the plane that turned over in Toronto just days before we left, and so that caused some delays in the Toronto side of things. We had some weather in the Halifax end when we were leaving. There was car accidents and whatnot. So there was a delay with the pilots who were in the hotel in Halifax. They couldn't get to the airport. So, and then once we got, we got to Toronto, and after switching gates about 4 or 5 times, back and forth, lugging our luggage each way, we finally got on the flight.
It became comical at the end. Like it was, some of us were, I'm not moving.
Yeah.
Because 10 minutes they're going to tell us to move. Literally, we drug all our bags over to, it was funny.
Yeah.
At the end. We were so tired we were laughing.
Yeah. But first of all, I just want to say thank you for everybody for your support. It meant so much to us. Your prayers did not go unnoticed while we were there. There was many days that we counted on your prayers, and we are so thankful for them. So we know that you were watching online. You saw some Facebook posts. I got some likes, and and everybody, a few comments here and there. And I know that some prayer requests came back to some intercessors for us, and so we thank you so much for that. So we joined with Heartbeat Ministries out of Halifax, and we went to Burra, Kenya, on the 18th of February for 1 month. And prior to us leaving, we invited any of those that wish to join us on the journey to donate clothing, glasses, toys, etc. And many of you stepped up. So thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Greatly appreciated. And we have a list of things that we can use, even if it's not us, it goes the next time, but they will be going regularly. And there's a few things that we can just kind of maybe put a list somewhere, and if you've got it and you don't think you need it, we can pass it on.
Yeah.
Next slide. That's us. There's
Yep.
a family there, actually.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the director is the third. The third one in on the left is the director, Charlie Passy. His wife is right in front of John, Elaine. So they're not the founders of Heartbeat, but they took Heartbeat higher? No? Oh, I don't trust myself. Okay. Okay, wait now. Okay, that's Charlie. That's Elaine. This is their daughter, their second daughter, Tammy. That's her son. That's a granddaughter. That's another granddaughter. So you can see how many were there of one family. That is a board member, another board member, another board member, another board member. A new believer, lovely new brother in the Lord, a filmmaker, and to the point where he is actually showing his films in Halifax. I'm not sure where they're being featured, but I think it's at the Scotia Centre. I'm not sure. Maybe it's at Dalhousie, the Rebecca Cohen. And this is another participant as well. And they all attend the same church. They're a church family. But you can see how many is of one family.
Yeah, the filmmaker, Josh, he's preparing a video of our time there, and it's not ready yet. We were hoping it'd be ready for today so that we could show it today. I connected with them, and it's not ready yet. So another time, maybe we'll have an opportunity to show that. It's just a short clip, I'm sure, but just anyway, that's our team. And as you can see, we have our nice red jackets on.
Next one.
Okay, Michael, next. Yeah. So, works in Burra. To build sustainable sources of food, water, and to provide education. Through God's help, they work to restore hope and prosperity through the empowering the people of community to become self-sustainable. And as Heartbeat Ministry continues to grow and evolve, their mission remains constant to give a helping hand to those who need it. So that's from their website. But for us, when we're on the ground, we're seeing it firsthand. They have a farm that they are growing food for the community, food for themselves for the school that they have there. They are preparing to sell to the community so people don't have to walk miles to get it. They're hoping to have it right outside their gate. They have started organic farming. They have, what else do they have?
You might want to, maybe just the next slide. I can't remember what. Okay, so once again, this is when they started going over to Burra. But prior to that, Heartbeat Ministries was more national, Canada national, but it didn't go outside the country necessarily until Elaine and Charlie took the lead. And then she did so reluctantly. It's lovely to hear her testify as to, no, God, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And how many years later, she's the director. And so once they knew they were to go outside the country, the Lord just gently led them first to South Africa and then to Kenya. So their goal really is just to be supportive in whatever God intends to do there. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, he tells us feed the poor. So that's the farm that John spoke about. But they really...
Yeah, their mission is to restore hope, health, and body and soul and spirit of the people there. One of the core projects is the Heartbeat Farm, which I mentioned, which was created with a mission to feed the hungry. Another core project is Father's Heart Primary School, and we're going down the list there probably, which includes pre-primary 1, PP1, PP2, and the Tinies. That's a program for 3-year-olds. A community outreach project aimed at girls and boys, 12 to 20 years old, and they call that the Days for Girls, or Men Who Know. And all have been adopted by Heartbeat missions with an aim to keep the girls in school and to empower all people surrounding the health and safety. Heartbeat supports local medical clinic as well, and often having a doctor and other medical professionals along with them. This year they didn't have the doctor with them, but they hope to the next trip. So the slides kind of go in order of this, so we'll just continue on, Michael.
Okay. Yeah, so this was one of the fun things that I was looking forward to doing, is like picking an actual mango. And one thing I didn't know about mango trees, that the roots go down really, really deep and then loop back up. So they'll dig a trench around the base of a mango tree about 2 or 3 feet out. So I saw this trough, and I was curious what was that about, but that was to catch the water because the roots of the mango tree comes back up. So they were quite plentiful, and our diet consisted of all those things listed on there in any combination. So many times we had a lot of rice, we had a lot of fruit. We would often have cabbage fried up. It was really good. It was with onions and garlic, lots of garlic and ginger. And they would take their garlic and their ginger, and they used a mortar and pestle. Is that what it is? Mortar and pestle? Pestle? Pesto, right, that's the word. And they would sit there and get that all ground down, and then that would be the full flavor. I left behind some spices when we left, so I thought to share this, and they had to come to me and say, well, what do you use nutmeg for? Because why did I take nutmeg? I don't know. And what do you use? I just threw some stuff in my soup cake, basil. There was other things, and they just don't have access to that right now. They do use cilantro a fair bit. So with the organic farm, they're trying to introduce more, it's just laborers. In any direction you look, it's just people to come and do it, right? Because Charlie and Elaine are, he's so gifted. He's just a man of many talents. And if there were someone there that could help, he'd say, yes, get them access to plant basil and all the other herbs and spices and introduce that to the community. It just takes willing participants.
One of the key things that they provide as Heartbeat Ministries in Kenya is jobs. They have close to 35 people working for Heartbeat Ministries in Bura, Kenya. That includes the farm workers, the primary school and the teachers, the security that they have. So they have a group of people that they are supporting just by employing them.
Mm-hmm.
And
mm-hmm.
not only are they employing them, but they are teaching them to be self-sufficient, mm-hmm. Teaching them to how to grow the food that they need in a way that they can have it all year round, mm-hmm. not just in the rainy seasons when it's lush, but in the dry seasons as well.
Yeah. And as John indicated before, on top of all that, the priority is to lead them in the ways of the Lord, to teach them to depend on the Lord. And just like in life here, there are situations that are less than lovely, that challenge our hearts, maybe with our family, maybe with friends, people who are close to us. That played out while we were there as well. And if it weren't for the Lord and people that were back here praying for direction, things could have gone seriously awry. However, because of God and His desire, if we lend ourselves to Him, His desire to flow through us in a way that is productive and supportive and compassionate, and that's all we had to lean on while we were there. He just seemed to take care of every one of those scenarios. There was more than one.
That's how we started our day, right?
Yeah, every morning we did that. We were mandated to come to the gathering room. We had a separate bedroom, praise the Lord. And there were 3 ladies that shared, 5 men who shared. Charlie and Elaine had their own bedroom. 3 other ladies that shared. And then we had a common area with sofas where we gathered and a place where we could eat. And we had to be there every morning at 8 a.m. for prayer time and time in the Word. So we were all challenged to be a leader. And so we all had that opportunity for the days that we were there. And to start our day that way, and many of us do, of course, already, but it just enriched the whole experience. Because then you felt like, well, whatever comes at us, God's got it, you know? We agree together every morning. Okay, next one.
Yeah. So this is Peter Sambo. He came to Heartbeat Ministries as a young boy, 13 years old. He was an orphan. He asked if he could stay and be part of the Heartbeat family. He had been part of a corrupt place next door to Heartbeat. There's a gentleman there that has a ministry, he calls it, that is less than lovely. There's a lot of things that are not of God that are going on there. And at that time when Peter was a young boy, he was asked or told to go next door to Heartbeat Farms and cut their water lines, cut their electricity, sabotage what he could. And his heart just couldn't do that. So he came knocking on the door and saying, listen, I can't do this. I want to be with you guys. I don't want this. So he was called by the Lord at that time. And now 34 years old, so this is 20 years later.
Not 10, 11 years later.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of years later. He now manages the Heartbeat Farms. And he just recently, he's remarkable. He just recently became the director of Heartbeat Ministries in Kenya. So that encompasses the farm and the school together.
So he'll remind you a bit of Nduka, Nduka, the sweetness that's on him, and just so honoring those of us that are more mature. And they call Charlie and Elaine Mama and Baba. So when you're older, you're Baba and you're Mama. So we're all, a lot of us. I think every one of us here is a Baba or a Mama, except Michael. You'd be a brother, which is actually Kaka.
Kaka.
It's true.
We'll call you Kaka from now on.
That's a legit word. Honestly, I had to ask someone about it. But he's so sweet, and he is raised up for a time such as this. He was 8 years old when he was orphaned and sent away, which they often do, to a boarding school. And this is what parents will do, because of course you want your children educated and they can go on and do better and gain more. And as John said, where this young man landed was not good at all. Initially, Charlie and Elaine had some affiliation with that man until they understood what was going on, separated themselves, but the facilities are right next door of one another. And
to make things worse, they have the same name.
But that's another story for another day.
Yeah, they both have Heartbeat on their signs.
So
it's very confusing when you go out into the community and you talk about Heartbeat, and they know Heartbeat School and they know of Heartbeat Farm, so you really have to be specific.
We had to differentiate ourselves. We said we're from the farm, Heartbeat Farm. And of course this man has that name just to try to legitimize what he's doing and get money and so on and so forth. So there's corruption, and we saw it different times. We never came up against it ourselves personally, but we did see cars and trucks being stopped on the highway, and with police armed, with machine guns and so on. And we understood that they were probably being asked to give a little this, but we never came up against that. We just felt the Lord's favor on us and protection. And and back to Peter. So God has raised him up for a time such as this, and we do. If you remember to pray for him. Peter Samba, he really is, again, at only 34, that's a big weight on him. And those young men under him that he's hired, some are older than he is, but he supports them and encourages them, and he has 2 children of his own and is married, and his wife was one of the cooks for us while we were there. So, and he has a house provided to him on the farm. And so
we'll just go through a couple of pictures.
We've got to be careful we don't ramble too much, because there's so much to tell you. Yeah.
So this is the entrance of the farm, and so as you can see, we got. Well, you can't actually see.
That's okay, but
yeah,
that's the gate.
That's the gate, the entrance, and next slide is just some of the vegetation that's on the farm. You can see a lady there collecting mangoes. For
every time I could. And if I can jump in, the organic farm, so the value of that is not, as John said, to feed them, sustain the school that Heartbeat owns and runs. So they provide all the meals for the children. and everyone on the farm. While the boys are there working, they get fed. And the hope is then to have a market, and Peter gave us his vision. He's a visionary, which is so great. He'll just say, Bubba, what do you think of? And, the whole idea, the concept of a market. So Charlie and he will have conversation. And what they did when they first initiated the project and calling it an organic market, they had someone that's African. I'm not sure where he came from. And he had sessions that he could share and hands-on learning and teaching, and people in the community were also invited in to learn. So not just the folks at Heartbeat, but others that were interested. Now, this couple, their names are Festus and Rosa, I think, and they've had great success with their garden, even in a drought. And there's things that I learned. I don't know, John, have you ever heard of a keyhole garden? Yes. Have you heard of one? Okay. And it's not something I'd known of, had seen. Oh, we have a photo. But just things that they were taught by this gentleman, whoever had gave them the instruction. You can see the fruit of that now. So it's the working together, and it's the communal experience that they're trying to produce in all facets of the organization, including the farming.
One of the cool things about that is when we went out to different areas of the community and out beyond the community, Heartbeat Farms was mentioned. Everywhere we went, Heartbeat Farms was involved in helping with a well, or helping with a farm, or helping give tools for a project that they were doing. So it was just over and over again that we heard about Heartbeat Ministries, being part of the community.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool, because you don't really, when you first land there, and it was drought season, and the earth was red as PEI dirt, and foolish me had sneakers that were kind of white when I started, and so you learned that your feet were filthy. You were filthy at the end of, when you're out, and at the end of a day. And so I kind of was thinking, Lord, how? And even the school itself, you'll see photos. And actually, go ahead, Michael, if you want to keep showing some photos. Oh, there's where we stayed, and you see the earth. It looks quite lovely, doesn't it, when you look at it? I mean, it's not by any stretch hard to look at. So the potential is there, but that dry earth is just powder. It's just powder.
Go ahead, Michael. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Michael, if you want to go to the next one.
Go ahead.
Okay, so do you see that water tank there, that gray tank? Our bedroom was right there, beside there. This was kind of funny for John and I. So we did have our own bedroom. We didn't really have curtains. So we had a water tank on one side, and then John rigged up this little change room for me out of two. For whatever reason, I threw in blackout curtains in our bag. So it was kind of a chuckle that we'd have. And at night, there was always young fellas going around with flashlights. They were the security people. So if you woke up in the night, it was nothing to see a flashlight coming by, but that was all part of the experience. And you can see, just where the buckets are, that's where the ladies did our washing. So you took your laundry, and what a treat to not even have to do your laundry, but I felt so bad throwing my clothes in the laundry hamper because these women did it all by hand. Yeah, and they hung it on the line. And then they had to iron our clothes after they air dried, because if they didn't, the little tiny ants would be everywhere. And we had the experience one day where after they dried the clothes, took them off the line rather, they'd fold them and put them on this sofa, and we'd all go and pick our clothes up, just like being at summer camp. And one day there was someone said, oh my gosh, there's ants there. And then someone picked up something else, and there they went scurrying. So they all had to be re-washed and ironed, because the heat kills the ants. So anyway, so imagine having to do that. Okay, you go ahead.
A few pictures of the farm. So they have a couple of cattle on site for milk, and that they provide to the school for the children. Okay, go ahead, Michael.
Sorry, Michael, if you can go back just for a second. We're showing you all of these because we know somewhere God's we're not going to say has to, but he might hook your heart on something. Not everybody's going to be interested in supporting a school. No, not everyone's going to be interested in every avenue of this type of ministry, but someone might like to support something that's going on at a farm. And look, they need a roof. See that old tarp? They need a roof. And so anyway, that's all I wanted to point out. Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, some of the vegetation that's around the farm. You can keep going, Michael. That's Peter there. He's just showing some corn that they have grown on the farm.
And papaya
And
on the left.
papaya tree. Okay. Bananas. They have banana trees on the farm.
It's, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's a fruit like
we
like
get
a,
it
like
here.
a mango, but it's
Yeah.
Kind of like a mango,
Mm-hmm.
longer, and the flesh is very dense. You don't need to eat a lot of it to feel full.
Lots of fiber.
okay.
Okay.
And
Those are the trenches, dear. You might want to speak about that.
yeah, so trenches to direct the rainwaters. So they've dug these trenches throughout the farm, and they get the water that when the rains do come from the mountains behind the camp, and the rain comes down, and they have troughs directing the water to the farm area, and it comes. It's a few kilometers. It's coming, so and then it reaches the farm, and it goes in. I got some pictures of some reservoirs here. I'll show you, and the reservoirs collect the water, and then they direct the waters into these trenches in order to irrigate the farm. And so, just entering into the rainy season, just as we were leaving, it never rained. I think it rained one day when we were there, and we were all excited. But they never had any rain. It was so dry. Everything was dry. But as soon as the rain came, everything started to green up. This is just a few days ago, like they sent this picture. So it's it's greened up quite a bit, and all the fruit and everything is starting to show the lushness and everything. It's just incredible. But it's the rainwaters that they count on, and water is so important. We take it for granted, but and you hear it all the time. Africa, you need to drill wells in Africa, and you need they need water, and you think, okay, well, how bad is it? It's bad. They need
Yeah.
water. That's
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they count on for life.
We had
right?
to pay, like we bought all our water. That was one thing, bottles of water. We just, cases of it. And I had the house money. Everyone gave me money, and we had already budgeted everyone for this, about 50. Okay, you go ahead, John.
So this is the one of the reservoirs. They have 3 on site, and they can hold, I think it's 20,000 gallons or something like that. But they need a new solar pump. They use solar pump to transfer the water up. It goes up the hill to these trenches, so that they can water the gardens. And so when we were there, these were dry. There was actually grass growing in the bottom.
And they're
So-
deep. Like what would they be, 15 feet deep? I don't know,
not that.
10 feet deep?
Yeah.
10 feet deep,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So they were okay, Michael.
Yeah, that was huge. It was
Just before we left, we had somebody come run up to the farmhouse and said, "Charlie, there's something happening down by the school." And he said, "What?" He said, "You have to come see." So they went down. I guess it was Peter. He was Charlie was in a meeting with the farm guys, and all of a sudden he was leaving, and nobody knew why. Anyway, found out later that the road beside the school, that's the school behind those guys, was being torn up, and the hedge, all where they're standing there, was all a great big hedge along there. It was probably, say, 5 feet high or 6 feet high hedge, which protected the area from elephants, and but because the hedge had big thorns like this, so
it acted as a fence to keep the school secure, which is a mandate, right? If you have a school, you have to have it fenced in.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you can
and-
go to the next one.
And 2 days before we're leaving, he gets the news that this is all ripped up.
It's all ripped
The
up.
government decided precisely then to widen that road.
Yeah. So right now they put up some barbed wire, and they're looking for fencing to put up a proper fence along there. and then they'll regrow a hedge of some sort at some point. You can see the water lines running along. That's how the water gets from one place to another, is these water lines are all over the place.
Yeah. But it was quite remarkable how, you know,
Go to the next one, Michael.
you're believing for God. You just think you're getting to leave, and God, thank you for everything you do. And then all of a sudden, there was another big thing that took all everyone's energy and focus, and yet God came through. He sorted it all out, and those young men rose to. It's just like young men need something to fight for, just as women need to be strong for something. Young men need an opportunity to stand for something that is good and holy, and it builds their character. And as John was pointing out about the water reservoirs, Charlie is the one, Charlie Passy, who really brought all that information over there. And I think about these young men who all they needed, and a lot of them were young men with no parents, no fathers. A lot of the young men on the farm were children from the facility next door that was, corrupt. And so a lot of them, Charlie and Elaine have known for 15, 20 years. And you just see the investment in young men. And I just that was heightened for me, or highlighted for me, the importance of being reminded that in this day and age, it's very difficult for young men to have something to stand for that's of value to their hearts, you know.
Yeah, so that's just some of the sites that we could see from where we were. And over where the sun is, and you can't see it in this picture, but I did share it on a Facebook picture at some point. I didn't find it to put on this, but Mount Kilimanjaro could be seen from right for where we were standing, right by the house where we were staying in. You could see Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. So on a clear day, you could see the snow on the mountains there. So it was pretty cool. We'll go to the next one. This is Walter. He is the new Father's Heart Primary School administrator. He was installed as the administrator at about our week 3. He's recently retired as a public school administrator, and it was a compulsory retirement at age 60. He came as an answer to prayer, because our former administrator resigned about our week 2 there. So Oliver resigned. There's a lot of backstory on that, and we won't go into that today, but it was less than lovely, and God said, you know what, I'm going to take care of this. And he brought Walter to us, and it's enough to say that God is so good that he allowed things to be revealed while Heartbeat was on the ground, and brought things to a place of peace that only God could have accomplished in such a short time. Mm-hmm. Only God could have done this.
Yeah, it really was. It really was remarkable to see that. And when you think of what's going on right now politically for all of us, and how we are concerned about what we see in leadership, God is turning over stones everywhere. If we allow him, he will clean it up. He will show us what needs to get cleaned up. We might need to put our hands to the plow, of course, but again, as John stated, we were all stunned about how quickly God brought someone by word of mouth. We know this man, and he came, and they had a meeting, and we're all, like, within 2 days. Like, it was remarkable.
Go ahead, Michael. So this is one of the classrooms at the primary school. The classroom right now, they're at full capacity for students. PP1 has approximately 57 students, and PP2 has approximately 55 students. So you can imagine a classroom, not much bigger than that, because that picture's back a little bit, but not much bigger than that, with 55 students in there. How busy and how hard that is to control at times, and how loud it can get. And then the tinies, they have 47 of the tinies. And the tinies, you want to explain who the tinies are?
Well, we went over, and I misunderstood. I thought we were going to be helping establish that program. What happened is Heartbeat has not been there for different reasons since 2019, physically not on the ground. Every week they have a Bible study online with all the farmhands and with Peter and all of the teachers and so on. So they're well connected that way, but we're not on the ground since 2019. However, they put in motion the building of the school. So this was the first time anyone was seeing the facilities, which was quite remarkable. And the tinies are the little ones, 3 and 4 year old, that are not quite old enough for school, but the parents have to work. It's like here, you know, a good program for the children, primarily to feed them and teach them about Jesus. That's the end goal. Now, here's the thing. I did feel prompted to take over things specifically for that age group, and I was glad I did, because when I went into that room, the stuff they had to play with is stuff of nightmares. You would not believe pieces of plastic that I could not even identify it being a toy, that they were chewing on and maybe sucking on or playing like the way a kid would with a block or something, but Barbies with no heads, like just garbage, complete garbage that was gathered up. And in fact, you know, some of it donated not through Heartbeat, but that's a whole other story as well. So when we landed there with some actual toys like little Fisher-Price houses and little people, the teachers themselves couldn't wait to get a hold of everything. And it's so colorful, right? And it's cute, but it just showed me, like, I'll just take bags of that stuff over another time, right? So
Each classroom has 2 teachers, and the tinies have 2 caregivers. And they also have 2 matrons on site. There's a man and a woman who help to assist them with bathroom runs, and during the morning they help with the porridge breaks and the lunch breaks, and as well as nap times, because they go to school, they get there about 7:30 in the morning, they start classes around 8:30 or so, and then mid-morning they have a porridge break, and then more classroom time, and then they break for lunch, and then they have more classroom time for a little while, and then there's nap time. They're all, you know.
it's very regulated,
Yeah.
and the
and-
teachers are in control.
Yeah, so one of the things, we'll go to the next slide, Michael. Yeah, so that's the PP1 and the PP2 classrooms up there. And
again, this is the goal is for any of the children attending to be the poorest of the poor in the community, and there's no cost for them to come to the school, and they're guaranteed 2 meals. So and they get a uniform. So and giving them a uniform also employs someone in the community, because Heartbeat pays someone in the community, hires someone to be a seamstress or a gentleman. So someone sews. So they're creating, you know, employment in the community. That's why when John said earlier about you go out in the community and you say who you're with, they go, oh yeah, with the farm. So there's just like a lift, because it's you know, yeah. Okay.
yeah, okay, we'll go to the next one, Michael. So this is their kitchen at the school. This is what they have right now to prepare the food. So they prepare the morning porridge and the lunches and everything from this kitchen. As you can see, the wood in the stove. Like Chris said, they don't pay to go to this school. Everything is free. Everything is provided free, which was a little bit of a controversy while we were there, or when we were there.
Another long story.
Another long story. But one of the things that they asked the parents to do is to bring a stack of wood with them, so that they can keep the fire going,
yeah.
right?
So they can just go around and collect that, the parents, right? And when John alluded to something else, we it's not that we wouldn't share any of these things with
Next
you,
one.
but the look at her face, and then I will keep you to remind you of considering Peter. As we pray for people and they can stay the course and stay honest in their roles and stay guided by the Lord, things can go well. But the moment someone says, well, you know, it's like in life here too. It's just that it's really evident there, right? Because there's not a lot to go around. But look at the joy on her face.
Go ahead, Michael. Okay, so again, preparing the food for the children. And before, that's one of the matrons, that's Bernadette.
No, the previous one was Bernadette, but that's okay.
Okay.
Yep,
I thought that was Bernadette.
that's Bernadette.
Okay. Anyway, that's one of the matrons, and they help the hand washing before the porridge time and lunchtime. This is Walter again with some of the teachers This is about their second day in. They're just having an introduction meeting. He's getting to meet them for the first time, and they're getting to meet him for the first time. And they were all quite nervous because the new director's coming in, and he was quite nervous because he was taking on the role. So it was it's nice to see their smiles. And up on the top right is the PP1, PP2 classrooms. The little building beside there is the washroom for the kids, and then the building in the middle is a building for the tinies, and then the building here is for the cooks, where the cooking happens. All right, next one. Children love to play with tires. They have a bunch of tires on the playground, and that's what they're playing with when they have their breaks.
We did take over soccer balls and stuff, but
Yeah.
a soccer ball only lasts. You get little kids playing with a dozen soccer balls, they don't last. I mean, and those kids know how to play. They love to be out running.
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, go ahead, Michael, yeah.
Yeah, so these are some of the toys that we brought over with us. We had a great big suitcase of these blocks,
Yeah.
what do you call them?
Mega blocks,
Mega
and I
blocks, yeah.
took a lot, but as you can see, as the teacher was distributing a few to every table, I thought, well, what are they going to do with 2 or 3 blocks? At that moment, I thought, Lord, why didn't I bring like 4 suitcases of them?
Yeah.
But, it's just you don't know till you get there.
Go ahead, Michael.
Next one. Yeah, the tires. Yeah, they'll just let those go down the hill and chase them, and,
Okay, go ahead.
yeah, playing with them. Yeah.
Yeah,
And they're so sweet, and they want to touch your hair, and they want to, they're just so adorable. They're
Yeah.
they're such beautiful
They would
kids.
laugh when I took off my hat, though.
Yeah.
So- yeah.
Yeah. There's not a lot of people that, that are a little different from them.
Go ahead, Michael. Again, just the mega blocks,
Yeah.
and you can see how many is gathered around at each table. Like it's,
Yeah.
they're trying to get their work done and trying to, so they're talking about expanding, and they're talking about, and they have some pressure from the government organizations to do that, but they can only do what they can do.
Yeah, the vision is to go right to grade 12, because then it's Christian education as well as, strong academics. That's the vision.
Okay, keep going. Again, the hand washing station, line up for lunch and porridge, and there's the porridge. Each one gets a scoop of the porridge, and at lunchtime it's rice and beans, and they do basically the same thing at
Which
lunchtime.
we got, rice and beans and bananas. We ate that a lot too
Yeah.
at the lodge, and that's what they had. And that little thing at the top left, you can't really tell, but she's washing her hands. It's called a tippy tap, and our Boy Scouts might learn to build something like that. But it has a cake of soap, and there's a way you can do it without dirtying your hand, like the water tips out of a jug, and it's quite a remarkable thing. But because they had to learn. That's another thing, Heartbeat is, helping them understand the importance of tidy and hygiene and all of that sort of thing. But they have really strong immune systems too, these.
Go ahead, Michael.
And
So there they are having their porridge.
yeah.
Yeah, and then they're all pretty cute. They go down, they get it, and then they carry their bowls back, and they're all,
Dancing
dancing
and
away
they're
as
just
they
happy
go,
little
and-
kids, and yeah.
And then after they finish eating, they all bring them back down to where they're supposed to put them, and they're all quite organized and
Yeah.
know what they're supposed to do. All right, go ahead, Michael. Again, they had some swings on site. Those are their swings.
Yeah.
While we were there, they were repaired. We had a welder come in and did some welding jobs on the swings and on the gate for security and a few other things. But
And the top right is Tammy, and she's helping with homework, I think. But one of the things she did while she was there is there's no photocopiers, right? So you're trying to teach the child how to do the letter L. Well, the teacher will spend her evening ... and the little kid will next day will draw the L. So that's how they had to do the schoolwork through the whole time, right? So again, these are just things we take for granted, but things they have to create a workaround all the time. So Heartbeat does pay the salaries of the school, the teachers. So that's another thing that anyone, if you're wondering. And so John with the
These are other things that we brought over with these houses. We brought over a few of those so that they could have those to play with. You can keep going, Michael.
yeah, you can just flip through the see the teachers thought they were so cute too.
And I was staying that one for a second. You see in the corner
Yes.
the mattresses. That's what they use for nap times.
So some of you donated thinking about mattresses. Those were the mattresses. So everything was utilized that was given. So they
Yeah.
do. They do.
Those mattresses there, they actually have a vinyl cover on them, and they were specifically covered for the tinies because the tinies have tiny accidents. So, but a lot of the other mattresses that the other classrooms have, you can see the bottom of that stack, and they're in very rough shape. All the other classrooms, they might as well be sleeping on the ground. Like, they're very bad shape. So that's one of the things that they're looking for is to replace the mattresses or to get more covers for the mattresses so that they last longer. So that was pointed out while we were there.
Just looking at
Keep
them.
going?
Yeah, you can keep going. I'm looking at the time and the number of slides we have here. So
Yeah, and you can
they're so well behaved. They know that they can't go out past the door until a certain time, till the teacher says. So you can see them sitting there waiting to come out.
try slide 39 there, Michael, and see if you can see if that link works. The next slide, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They say grace before their meals, and they all the things that are, we would like to see faded. They're saying shake your body.
And that was their blessing for their porridge. So they're off to porridge time now. So.
Thanks, Michael. Sweet. I don't know if you noticed, there is more than one, but there is one little Muslim girl in that frame. But that is another. There is a mosque there that's quite elegant looking, but they don't mind sending their kids to this school, which is fascinating. Yeah. Yeah. So next one, Michael, if you don't mind. Okay. What is coming up, and we'll see. Okay, so we can tell you about this before it comes up. They had to dig up the floor of one of the classrooms because it's just cement and it's all chipped. And so while we were there, that was another project that Charlie oversaw on a weekend. They literally dug that top of that all off. They didn't have a jackhammer. And then they had to redo the whole thing and have that ready.
You notice the safety boots?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something.
All right,
So-
keep going, Michael.
Yeah.
So they, one of the things they do is the clinic that's in the town, they come over and they measure the children, and they weigh the children to make sure that they're being, this is a government thing they want to make sure that they're being looked after. So this is something that's done all the time.
Yeah, the government mandates it, rather. Or
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah.
From the clinic.
From the clinic, which Heartbeat is associated with too, so they've linked themselves into it. And
More of the classroom
Yep.
work and teachers. Go ahead.
yeah, next one, yeah.
All right. This is while we were there, the administrators, as I said, changed. So we said, okay, well, let's help spruce this up and give them a little bit of a spruce up of the office there. And
Yeah, the one day that it rained, that building flooded. Like, just see the enemy trying to take it out, right? Before the man comes, after we did all this, we had the flood, and it filled that office.
so we did some whitewashing, which I'd never used before, and all the building, all the whitewash inside and outside, we had to mix up and do all the whitewash, which was very sloppy and messy.
Next one, Michael. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
So we just put it on there. Keep going.
Yeah.
Did some gardening outside just to fix it up. Go ahead.
Yeah.
There's
well,
a gardener. and then the guy in the white shirt, or whatever color that is Alois, and he's a security guard / pastor. And he's placing, he made these flower pots out of clay. And so they look like tree stumps. I
They're
don't know if you can tell
amazing.
that, but
we should
yeah.
make them this summer. I admired them and encouraged him, and he brought them over. He said, well, I can put them over at the school. But it was what he did before he was hired as a security guard. But while we were there was a real movement of the Lord, and he was raised up. He's been raised up to be the pastor of that facility. So he's one of the head security people, and then he also is now the pastor, and we'll show you what his church building looks like later. And then
So Days for Girls program. Last year, Days for Girls Canada delivered, as you can see, 17,000. This is just Days for Girls Canada. They're all over the world, Days for Girls. They started in Nairobi, Kenya, but they supplies 17,500 kits. Now, what the kits are,
so the kits are for
the next slide.
yeah, we would target ages 12 to 19. As she can see, she's holding up something that can be washed, ladies, and we all know what that's for, our monthly cycle. And this is showing them they're provided with, in this lovely bag, it's enough items to last them a month. And these are washable, reusable. If they're taken care of, they can last up to 4 years. Made of flannelette, they're lovely to look at. They're given a bar of soap, and then we would do the teaching as to how to manage these things, how to care for these things, and how to care for themselves as young women. As you probably would have heard, and you hear, like John said about the water, you hear about these things happening in Africa, but you don't really realize how true it is. A lot of these young girls hit puberty, and to get enough pads or whatever they need for their monthly cycle, they sell themselves. They literally start, they don't even know, they just know they want to get to school. Because if they get to school, they get an education, they get out of, so that's a very common thing. And so teenage pregnancy is a big deal. So we arrived at a time in their community, society, where there's a new understanding of we have to train young girls up to understand their bodies better. And so this was part of, this program is not necessarily Christian of origin. I mean, the Lord is governing of all good gifts, right? Or the originator. This young woman standing here, she is a granddaughter to Charlene Lane, and she is an accountant with
A firm in Halifax.
which we all know, and it's escaping me right now. Okay. But she has felt the Lord lay this on her heart. She fundraised to buy these kits. I think she fundraised up to $7,500. And we couldn't quite remember how many number of kits there were. There was a lot.
About 500.
500 kits?
About that.
Yeah. And so what she did before she landed on the ground is she connected with, through this Days for Girls, seamstresses, like companies, I guess, women who probably were just organized themselves to craft these kits. So we had to literally go through every one of the kits when we got there. That was another thing we did to make sure they contained all of the items. So when we went to a school, every child had what they needed. So they have since learned that boys need to have something too. So they got a similar bag, which they could use kind of as a backpack, and inside it was a pair of underwear, just so that as they had their instructions, they would have a little gift.
So
as
we
well.
were challenged while we were there to go out to these schools. We went out to 7 high schools to speak to the students. When we got there, we separated the girls and the boys, and the girls went in and spoke to, the ladies went in and spoke to the girls and shared all the stuff about girl stuff. And myself and a couple other guys went in and talked about boy stuff.
With the former director taking the
And-
lead.
And we also talked about girl stuff, because they want to be men who know, is what the name of that program is for the men, is Men Who Know. So they want to be men who know how to take care of their ladies, so and how to protect them. So this is something that was kind of sprung on us, that we were entered into, and but God was there, and He guided us, and it went very well.
It did well. What was interesting to me was to watch how God used John, because so that young woman spearheaded everything, and she was with us for the first 2 weeks. So she did the teaching. I was there to help with assist of passing out things and so on. So the 2 weeks afterwards, when she left, I did teaching. I shared it with 2 others, her sister, younger sister.
Go ahead, Michael.
And another woman. Okay. So that's me, but that's a weird pose to have a phone. But that, I know. But the kids were sweet, and they were just so receptive. And
You can
but
go ahead,
John,
Michael.
what happened to John is, so after the director, who was spearheading the boys, when he resigned, then there was nobody to do that part of the teaching. So we're getting in the car. We understand the new director resigned that morning. Who's going to do the boy teaching? So there's John and Brad and Elijah, the grandson of Charlie and Elaine. They're the 3 left. And they're looking at each other. And John, in true soldier form, picks up the brochure. He's got 20 minutes in the car to learn the material and deliver that. So he stepped up, and I think it went well, didn't it?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I was proud of you.
So the next slide, Michael. So this is all the kits are in these bags, so you can see how many bags there are. That's probably not them all in the picture, but each kit had to be checked and counted and packed, counted, packed, repeat. We did that many times, many days, making sure that everything was and the numbers were there.
Because we'd come home with what was left over and have to make sure we had enough for the next day. And so,
Go ahead, Michael.
yeah.
So this is our side of the men's side of it, Men Who Know. It's part of the Days for Girls program, but under that they have one that's called Men Who Know, because they know that it's important for the men to know what's going on with the ladies, so that the ladies can be protected by the men.
So that's taken from their website. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we go to the next one? So the boys were quite attentive. They asked some questions. There's a young fellow there who has his hand up. He's answering a question. They laughed. A lot of the things that were going on. You say, okay, maybe you're thinking about this little girl Sally now, and you find her attractive, but and they're, they're all tee-heeing and.
Well, what was in the end of when we did all that practical side of it, so Heartbeat could deliver that for Days for Girls, but then we also had to introduce ourselves as Heartbeat. So we were Days for Girls when we landed in the classroom, and then tagged onto that was Heartbeat. So we were not, because Days for Girls is not, they didn't create that program. The part they wanted to bring also to that is a teaching of soul ties. So what happens when you engage, as a young person or an adult or any time in your life? And so that part of the teaching, I think Brad did a lot for the boys, right? And John was telling me that he used the story of Samson and Goliath and about how, no, it wasn't Samson and Goliath, it was just Samson. And Delilah. But all the other women in his life, and how that was so confusing for him, and I just thinking about all the soul ties. Yeah, so that was a really important part of it too. Okay, moving on.
Go ahead. So, as Chris said, that each boy received a kit as well. So all the girls received a kit with all their accoutrements inside, and the boys received a bag with underwear. Go ahead, Michael. So now we're going to go over to the medical clinic, which was right across the street from the farm. So it wasn't a long walk to get there. Go ahead, Michael. You can see that the healthcare system in Kenya had many difficulties with nurses and doctor strikes, medical supplies being withheld from the communities by the government, lack of funds to pay the nurses and doctors. Heartbeat Ministries has supported the clinic across the street when necessary, as well as initiatives to reach those that can't travel to the clinic. And through prayer, medicine, they provide support to those who desperately need help. So that's where they can step in, they do, and they provide what they can. And okay, go ahead, Michael.
Yeah. We went over and we didn't have any medical staff with us. Charlie and Elaine's eldest daughter is a nurse, but she wasn't with us this trip. But we went over and we prayed for people. So they'd come for medical attention, then they gave us a room and we would pray for individuals who were receptive to that.
Okay, go ahead, Michael.
And there was a woman in a previous, you don't have to flip back, Michael, but a woman named Mercy, that's her first name. She asked us or Heartbeat to support this new initiative they have there through the medical clinic. It's to help teenage moms, educate them. So it's a pregnancy center. And so this was a cake that Heartbeat purchased, and they don't get cake very often. It was quite interesting we had the honor and the privilege of serving that. I mean, there's no serviettes. There's no extra plates. We just chopped that cake up, almost with a machete, and then we just hand it out, and they all would take a little piece. But these women were, we sat under a tent. John wasn't with us that day.
Next slide, Michael.
Oh, next slide, yeah. And you can see the participants there, all with their babies. And there were a lot of medical staff. Now, these people there's those that have an opportunity to go on to further their education and who have a heart to come back to the community, what an impact they're having. These young professionals, I don't think there's a photo of them there, but they would speak from everyone from someone in government who talked about her own journey of being abused and misused, and then God just raised up. Beauty from Ashes was the title of her speech, and she did some of it in Swahili and some of it in English, so we could get a lot of it was not in English, so I could only get bits and pieces, but it was just educating the young women and it was all coming from a Christian perspective. There was only one or two young professionals there was a group of young people that got up and they had black t-shirts on, and they were given a platform. They were the only group that spoke about, the culture's shifting and changing. We want to educate you basically, but there was no reference to the Lord in it. Everything else was coming through a Christian lens. So it's interesting how the enemy is trying to get in wherever he can, even in something that is potentially good. So we have to be gatekeepers. And anyway, so that was a really incredible experience then. To be part of, yeah.
Okay, Michael. So the next thing we were involved in is the mama groups. And the mama groups, like I said, that Heartbeat, you went outside of the Burra community and you traveled, for several miles on a dusty, dirty road and dirt road, and we came across, in places that you wouldn't even think that you'd find anybody. This group would emerge, and they'd be there. So they're basically groups that get together, and they're trying to work together to survive. They have maybe a rooster with a couple of chickens, and they're trying to make that work to get some eggs sold so they can make some money to send their kids to school. They have a small farm where they have some keyhole gardens that they can grow some vegetables to try to sell. Like I said, they're miles away. They don't have water, so they have to travel into Burra, which is several kilometers. Either they're walking, or they have a donkey, or some have a motorcycle that they can carry these water jugs on. And the water jugs are 5-gallon jugs, and so they can only carry so much.
And that's their drinking water, their bathing water, their gardening water. That's everything.
Yeah, so it's water is so important. And so they're looking at, in these areas, creating boreholes for them so that they can get water and get them to different areas. Okay, go ahead, Michael. So, as you can see, they traveled in style a lot of times.
I'm just going to dive in with two thoughts, and I'm sorry, I know it's a few minutes after 12, we're almost finished. Flipping back to the, don't change slides though, Michael, but one of the things that Heartbeat did was pay for some formula for the babies and diapers, and the girls were all given a kit. So I just wanted to touch on that. That's an area where they find, support. And then for this, thinking again, because the thoughts crossing my mind even is, why are these people living in such poor areas? Are there not any lush regions? Well, there are up the hill, and we only got up the hill once, up the mountain, to go to a bank, and it was quite a drive, but people who have greater wealth live up there. So the more impoverished you are, you're sent down the hill, and you live in these poor communities. And to get here, like John has, seatbelts are optional. Well, usually there was a few of us in the trunk, and you'll see the road, but so many times we hit like you'd go over a bump and you'd be convinced the bottom's coming off that car. How is that car still, how are the tires still on it? But anyway.
Go ahead, Michael. So, yeah, so like I said, they were pretty remote. So the car got as far as it could go, and then we said, okay, everybody out, we got to walk. And it wasn't that much further to go, but you can see the path narrowed quite a bit. So, and of course, we followed the narrow path. So, so Keyhole Garden, you can see one there, and you see the little indent in the thing. That's why it's called a keyhole. It kind of looks like a keyhole. So this is one of the groups. This group is called Favor, and we loved that name when we went up there. That was an awesome name. They named themselves Favor. These guys were such incredible people. They were just so loving, and their hearts were to work together was just so great. And they're from different families, but they come together and they support each other, and they work as a cooperative. And it's such a wonderful thing to see.
And that was important for Heartbeat because in order to support a group, they have established as part of the ministry that this group needs to be cooperating with one with another. And they have Bible study. They have to commit to Bible study. So one of the young farmhands, his name is Daniel, he came with us, and he goes out and leads these groups, the ones that we went to anyway. I know there are others that are leading, but Daniel was leading this group. Now, we went to another group that they were not as pulled together. They were more like, yeah, I'll get my chickens, and she'll get her chickens, and I don't want to have to look after her chickens. But once Elaine or whomever saw that, then there would be conversation about, well, no, we see it working better and more strategically if you work together. A lot of this had to be translated, of course. But
so they train them to be. They train them to be in a cooperative.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next slide.
You're stronger together.
Yeah. So this young girl, this is part of the Favor group. We were wondering why there was just one young girl there, and it turns out that she was turned out from her school because she didn't have the money to keep going. So, in order for her to keep going back or to go back to class, a call was put out online by, you see Tammy Murphy's name up there. That's Charlie Lane's daughter, to raise some funds, and so the Heartbeat social community out there raised the funds, and before you knew it, we were able to send her back to school while we were there. So that was incredible to see her go back to school.
Yeah, she might have missed 2 days of class, but I can see it says $350 US, and she was finishing high school. That was the level. So, yeah. And they need fencing. That's one of the things. You can see the tarping that they're used. So that's one of the things Heartbeat was establishing. Okay, what do you need here? Rain barrels, fencing, just taking a list, itemizing, and trying to help prioritize when funding comes in, where is it going out to?
One of the things they do to raise money is to make baskets. And what they use is they use this type of grass or plant, whatever that is.
It looks like, that one we call mother-in-law's tongue. Or snake plant, that it looks like that, and you see the girl with it on her foot. I was like, how do you make those? So right away they were so pleased to come, and it's like they're equivalent to a quilting bee. They all sit around, they get their machetes. She's got the machete under her foot, and she's stripping tiny, tiny little pieces off that
next
plant.
slide, Michael.
And she gets these little hairs, then she'll wind them together, maybe 8 to 10 of them, to create, like, it looks like jute, like a white jute. Then they start, once they have this, balls of it, then they create the basket.
And they take different plants and they create dyes from the different plants, and they use it to dye, and then.
So some of us purchased a basket, you know, to bless them. And what came out of that is there was a place where we did have some social time for ourselves later, and it had a gift store, and they were carrying things like this. So Peter was with us when he saw this, and he and I had a conversation about, well, why couldn't they sell these gals baskets? So that's another thing Peter's doing, is finding avenues for these women to be able to sell their wares. Yeah.
Right.
And
Okay.
go ahead.
So this is one of the mama groups. This is one of their houses. So she was happy to show us her house. So it's quite ingenious how they make these houses with the mud and the stone and the sticks, and they're solid. I mean, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Michael. Like Chris said, they need fencing. That's one of the things. Rain barrels, tools, shovels, hose, materials for making chicken houses, because they want to be able to expand their chicken sales and get that on the way. Go ahead, Michael. Okay, the Church of the New Well. This is on our property, so our building that we stayed in is like right here, and this is an old water well, old water container that's empty, and we use that as they were using that as their church. It was just created while we were there. Go ahead, Michael. Go ahead. So this is, they needed some electricity in there, so Brad's an electrician, so he went in and hooked it all up. He's showing the lights. Go ahead, Michael. So this is the entrance, and as you go in, the church itself, it's just pretty plain. Nothing in there, just a few chairs and a desk. Go ahead, Michael. This is Alois. Alois is the security guard that we mentioned earlier. He's the security guard slash pastor. And he wanted to be prayed for. He was so passionate. He just, as soon as they said, we'll pray for you, he dropped to his knees right away. Like he was on his knees before they were even to him, and he was just so ready to receive and to. One of the things that they're doing there is they have the Reforma program, that is a program that's to teach pastors or teach people to become pastors, or they don't become official pastors, but they learn the Word of God and how to relay the Word of God, and to
to read the Word, to get in the Word and read what it says.
Yeah.
And to really not assume but to read it.
So they have a group of maybe 15 guys that are going through this right now, and so they hope to do a lot of outreach and evangelism in the community.
One of the men who came with us on the board for Heartbeat, he was responsible for making sure that material was there for them. So he introduced that. It was an initiative that the Lord did through Doug. So again, you see how God brings people together. Okay. And there's Brad with Alois and the people that were attending the church.
Yep.
And there he is. I think we're at the end, are we?
Close.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be it. Yeah.
That's the last one. So that's Alois.
Yeah. There's so much more,
Yeah.
and we could go on like for a whole afternoon. There's many things that we were involved in and traveled around to and were part of, and we were just blessed over and over and over again. And just to be part of it, it was incredible. The people that we traveled with were incredible. They loved the Lord. Everything is okay. We have to stop and pray. What is the Lord saying about this? It's not, just react. It's stop and pray and wait. And so it was such a privilege to be there and be part of that. And again, you guys were part of it with us. I don't know how well we got it across to you, what it was that we were part of, but we can certainly share one-on-one more with you. So thank you so much. And
I was just gonna, I don't know if I can, am I still on camera there? Michael, did you, I am? Okay. Okay, you're gonna sing this line after me.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is something that we taught, I'm a little bit hoarse, but I gotta hit the right note to begin with because I have to draw. Fire, 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 fall on me. Okay? Fire, 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 fall on me. Again. Fire, 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 fall on me. Like the day of Pentecost, fire, fall on me. Like the day of Pentecost, fire, fall on me. Fire, 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 fall on me. Fire, 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 fall on me. Amen.
a song that Pastor Alois brought to us when we were there, and we sang that pretty much every week at church there. So it was, yeah.